I never thought fear could feel alive until that night. The classroom should have been empty, the hall silent, the whole school asleep. I only came back for my notebook, a quick in and out. The moment I pushed the door open, everything felt wrong. Mr. Asher was there at the far end of the room, standing by the window, back straight, motionless, almost like he'd been frozen in place. "Sir," I whispered. My voice sounded small and fragile. He didn't turn around. His shoulders rose and fell slowly, to controlled, to deliberate. I didn't know anyone was still here, I said, stepping closer, clutching my backpack strap. "I just came for my notebook." His hand lifted and pressed against the glass. Long, pale fingers, stiff and unnaturally rigid, scraped along the surface. The sound made my skin crawl. "Sarah," he said, voice low and strained. "You shouldn't be here." My stomach dropped. His tone was nothing like the warm, steady voice he always had in class. There was hunger in it, but not the kind you could see something invisible, heavy. "Sir, are you okay?" I whispered, his head tilted slightly, still not facing me. The light caught his profile, and my breath froze. His skin was pale, almost glowing under the flickering fluorescent lights. His cheekbones looked sharper, his jaw more defined, as if someone had carved them while he slept, and his eyes, they were red. Not brown, not the steady brown I knew, but glowing, ember-like, burning with something feral. I couldn't move. I felt my legs lock beneath me. "Sarah," he said softly, almost mournfully, "you shouldn't have come back." "Sir?" "What's happening?" I asked, my voice shaking. My fingers dug into my backpack strap. I wanted to back away, but my legs didn't obey. His head lifted, and when he looked at me, his pupils were narrow, slitted. I staggered backward, nearly tripping over a desk. The reflection in the cabinet caught my eye, and my stomach flipped. There was nothing, no reflection. He didn't exist in the glass. My heart hammered in my chest. "You've seen too much," he whispered. I wanted to scream, but my voice wouldn't come. He stepped closer, unnervingly fast, moving in a way no human should be able to. I stumbled backward again. "Stay away," I shouted. His hands lifted slightly, a strange, pleading gesture. "I don't want to hurt you," he said, voice cracking. I never wanted this. I shook my head. This isn't real. This isn't real. His gaze was unbearable, fixed on me, hungry and sorrowful all at once. "Do you know what it's like," he murmured, "to fight yourself every second of every day? To pretend you're something you're not?" The air thickened. I felt a cold draft brush past me. He inhaled sharply, nostrils flaring. His lips parted, and I saw the faintest hint of fangs. My stomach lurched. I wanted to run, to bolt, but my feet felt glued. "Sarah, run," he whispered. "Please." I shook my head. "No." The next second, a loud slam echoed from the hallway, footsteps, doors, something moving, and it broke my paralysis. I staggered toward the door. He didn't follow, not yet. He stayed by the desk, white-knuckled, fighting himself. But then the scent of blood reached him, my blood, and I knew the moment he gave in. His pupils dilated, crimson blazing brighter. His fangs pushed fully forward, gleaming. And in that heartbeat, I realized he wasn't restraining himself anymore. He was hunting. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst through my chest. I could feel the blood rushing, the heat of panic spreading through me. Every instinct screamed at me to move, but my legs were stiff, as if my body refused to obey reason. My eyes darted around the room, searching for a weapon, anything, but the classroom offered only cold desks, chairs, and the scattered remnants of forgotten homework. Mr. Asher took a step closer. The faint fluorescent light caught his teeth as he smiled, or maybe it was a sneer. The shadow of his face stretched across the floor, long and jagged, like some monstrous creature from a nightmare. His movements were smooth, inhuman, precise, every motion radiating danger. "You have to leave," he said, voice low, almost a growl now. I can't control it. I can't just leave, I shouted. You're my teacher. I'm not your teacher, he said, his lips curling. Not tonight. Something shifted in him then. The sorrow melted from his eyes, replaced by hunger and a strange, desperate need. He lunged, faster than any human, faster than I thought possible. I stumbled backward, tripping over a chair. My notebook flew across the floor, pages scattering like frightened birds. My breath came in ragged gasps. I could hear my own heartbeat loud in my ears, as if it betrayed me to him. He stopped just short of me, the air between us almost vibrating with energy. I could see his fangs fully extended now, sharp and glistening under the pale light. He tilted his head, studying me, calculating. You should have left, he whispered again, almost regretfully, almost mournfully. I didn't respond. My throat was dry, my mind was spinning, trying to process what I was seeing. The man I knew as my teacher, the man who smiled and assigned homework and reminded me to study, was gone, replaced by something else, something terrifying. Then a sudden sound made me whip my head toward the door, a faint creak, a whisper of movement. My body reacted before my mind could. I bolted. My shoes scraped against the floor, papers flew, and the desk legs rattled. He didn't move after me immediately. I thought I might make it. I thought maybe this was my chance. But then I heard a sound that will haunt me forever. The soft, deliberate thump of footsteps behind me, closing the distance impossibly fast. I dared a glance over my shoulder. His face was pale, sharp, red eyes blazing, fangs glinting. The air seemed to warp around him, shadows twisting unnaturally as he moved. I screamed, but no sound came out. My knees hit the floor. I grabbed my notebook, tried to crawl toward the door, but he was already there, impossibly close. The air between us was electric, and I could smell his breath, cold, metallic, and smelling faintly of iron and something else I couldn't name. Sarah, he whispered, a strange softness beneath the menace. You need to understand. I won't let this end well for you if you stay. I froze. My body refused to move. I knew the next second could decide everything. He was fast, far too fast, and my own strength felt insignificant. And then, the lights flickered violently, the ceiling buzzing like a swarm of angry insects. Shadows stretched unnaturally across the walls. He lunged, and I braced for the inevitable. I hit the floor hard, my palms scraping against the cold linoleum, my notebook tumbling from my grip. Every instinct screamed at me to get up, to run, but my body was trembling in a way I couldn't control. The room felt impossibly large and impossibly small at the same time, like the walls were breathing. Closing in on me, Mr. Asher was already there, moving with that inhuman grace that made my stomach twist. Each step he took was silent, but I felt it in my chest like the echo of a drum. His eyes glowed brighter, red like coals buried under ash, and the shadow of his face stretched across the floor in a way that wasn't natural. I scrambled backward, my hands hitting a chair. It wobbled and tipped over. I didn't care. All I could see was him, advancing, fangs glinting, pale fingers curling like claws. You have to stop, I whispered, my voice shaking so badly I could barely hear it myself. Stop this, please. He paused, and for the briefest moment, I thought I saw something human flicker behind the horror in his eyes. But it was gone in an instant, replaced by something far older, far darker. I can't, Sarah, he said softly, almost regretfully. I've tried for so long. You weren't supposed to see this side of me. I shook my head, trying to make sense of it. My teacher, my calm, patient, ordinary teacher, he wasn't just gone. He was replaced by something else, something that looked like a nightmare. My chest heaved. But you're human. You're Mr. Asher. I'm still me, he murmured, stepping closer. But not the Emmy you know. I bolted toward the door. My shoes squeaked against the floor. I slammed my hands against the handle, but it wouldn't budge. Panic clawed at my chest. I turned, and he was already across the room, closer than I thought possible. "I warned you," he said, voice low, almost a growl. "I don't want to hurt you, but I can't promise I won't." I backed up until my spine hit a wall. The room seemed to shrink. Shadows moved, stretched, twisted unnaturally. I tried to focus, to think, to find a way out, but every thought felt sluggish, trapped under the weight of fear. "You're bleeding," he said suddenly, nostrils flaring. My eyes went to my arm. A thin scratch from the corner of the desk had drawn blood. My blood. The smell must have reached him. "It's nothing," I whispered. "Nothing." His voice was sharp now, dangerous, cutting through the thick air. "To you, maybe, but to me, it's everything." He tilted his head, fangs fully bared, and my stomach lurched violently. I stumbled over a chair and fell to the floor. The notebook spilled across the tiles again. My hands scrabbled over the scattered pages, desperate for something to defend myself with, anything at all. The room grew colder. Shadows pooled in the corners, thick and dark. The faint hum of the fluorescent lights was the only sound other than my own rapid breathing. My heart was a wild drum in my chest. I can't move," I whispered to myself. My legs shook uncontrollably. He crouched slightly, watching me, his red eyes glowing. "I don't want this," he said, voice softer, almost human again. "You shouldn't have seen me like this. I didn't choose to." I cried. I was just getting my notebook." He exhaled sharply, nostrils flaring. The air between us felt thick, charged, almost vibrating. I could smell him now, metallic, warm, and faintly sweet, like iron and decay mixed together. My stomach flipped. "You need to understand something," he said, taking another step forward. "I'm not safe. Not for anyone. Not for you." I scrambled to my feet, clutching a chair. It was heavy, awkward, but it was something. I swung it in front of me, desperate. He stopped, eyes narrowing. "That won't help," he said, calm, almost amused, though the red glow of his eyes burned with warning. I tried to run, sidestepping toward the other side of the classroom, my sneakers squeaking against the floor. He moved faster than I could blink, blocking my path with ease. Every movement of his was precise, controlled, terrifying. "You can't escape," he said, his voice a whisper and a growl at the same time. "Not tonight." I backed up against the wall, trying to keep him at a distance. My hands were shaking, my body trembling violently. Every instinct screamed at me to do something, to fight, but my mind was frozen. "You think you can fight me," he said, stepping closer, voice low, hypnotic. "Do you know what it's like to be trapped inside yourself, fighting your own nature?" I shook my head, tears brimming in my eyes. "I don't understand. I can't. Just stop." He paused for a second, studying me. For a brief instant, the human part of him surfaced. His eyes softened, but it didn't last. Hunger flared again, crimson blazing brighter. "Sarah," he whispered, voice almost pleading now. "I'm sorry. I can't control it anymore." The shadows around him shifted unnaturally. The fluorescent lights flickered violently. I felt the air pressure change, like the room itself was bending toward him. I stumbled backward. The floor felt slippery. My notebook pages flew across the room again. Every scrap of paper seemed to float, trembling, cut in some invisible current. He lunged, faster than thought. Faster than fear. My scream caught in my throat. I hit the floor again, sliding backward, my hands scraped against the tiles. He stopped just inches from me. The air between us burned. I could see his fangs, sharp and glistening. He smelled the tiniest drop of blood, and I could see his expression shift, hunger overtaking any trace of the human man I once knew. "You shouldn't have seen this," he whispered, voice trembling, a strange mix of regret and desire. I wanted to run. I wanted to scream. I wanted the world to end and restart somewhere safe. But I couldn't move, not fast enough, not far enough. And then something banged in the hallway outside. Footsteps, rapid, heavy. Someone coming, or maybe something else. He turned his head slightly toward the noise. That brief distraction was all I needed. I crawled toward the door, heart pounding, body shaking like never before. He whipped back toward me. His eyes flared crimson brighter than ever. His fangs glinted. The shadows seemed to lean toward him, alive, breathing. And I knew I wasn't getting out of this room alive. Not if he decided I was his next meal. The door handle rattled under my fingers. I tried to push it open. My palms were sweaty, slippery. He lunged faster than any human should be able. The room blurred. My heart nearly stopped. And then everything went black. I woke to the sound of my own ragged breathing. The classroom was silent, almost painfully so. My body ached, my hands scraped and bruised from the fall. The notebook was still scattered across the floor, pages fluttering lightly as if caught in a ghostly breeze. Mr. Asher stood across from me, leaning against a desk, his crimson eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. But something was different. He looked exhausted. Human exhaustion, not the predatory energy that had consumed him before. "Sarah," he whispered, voice soft, almost vulnerable. "I need you to understand. I didn't want you to see this side of me." I don't understand," I stammered, still pressed against the wall, heart hammering like a drum. Why are you like this?" He stepped closer, slowly, hands raised in surrender. His fangs were retracted, eyes flicking with guilt. "I wasn't always like this. I tried to live among humans, to teach, to be normal, but something changed. I was turned, a vampire. I swallowed hard. Turned. You mean you didn't choose this?" His head dropped, shoulders sagging. "I didn't, and for years I've fought it. Every second, every heartbeat. I control it, most of the time. But the smell of blood, especially yours, it triggers something primal. Something I cannot always resist." I shook my head, trying to process the truth. The horror, the disbelief, it all pressed against me, but beneath it, I felt something else. Pity, fear mingled with understanding. "You could have killed me," I whispered. "I almost did," he admitted, voice breaking. "I almost gave in completely. But I didn't. I couldn't. Not you. You're not just anyone." I blinked, unsure what to say. My notebook lay forgotten. The room felt different now, less like a trap, more like a fragile, tenuous calm after a storm. He exhaled slowly. "I need you to leave now. Go home. Forget what you saw, please." I hesitated. Forget? How can I forget this? He shook his head, a small, sad smile flickering across his pale face. "You won't, and that's okay. You'll survive. But it's dangerous for you to stay, for your own sake." I wanted to argue, to stay, to understand more, but something in his eyes stopped me. Not hunger, not menace, but sorrow, deep, ancient sorrow that made the air feel heavy. I moved toward the door, my legs trembling. My hands gripped the handle, and for a moment I thought he might stop me, might move to prevent my escape, but he didn't. Instead, he looked away, shadows stretching across his face. "Live your life, Sarah. Steady, laugh, forget me, if you can." I paused, turning back to him one last time. Will I ever see you again?" His crimson eyes softened, almost human again, maybe, but not like this. "Not like tonight. I have to control it, or disappear completely." I nodded, tears pricking my eyes. Something in me wanted to reach out, to touch him, to reassure him, but I didn't. Instead, I walked out, the hall silent around me. Once outside, I inhaled sharply. The night air smelled sweet and alive, in sharp contrast to the cold, unnatural air of the classroom. My legs shook, but I felt free, alive. I didn't look back as I ran toward the parking lot, my mind racing, replaying every terrifying detail. His eyes, his fangs, the way he moved, faster than thought. And yet, beneath it all, that sorrow, that struggle to remain human. Days passed. I told no one what happened. Who would believe me? Who could understand the truth of what I saw? And yet, every night, I felt it, the memory of those crimson eyes, the faint brush of shadows that lingered in my mind. I learned to live with it, to push it to the back of my thoughts, but I never forgot. And one evening, months later, as I walked past the school's old windows, I glimpsed a shadow, still motionless, still watching. I froze, heart pounding, and then I saw him, Mr. Asher, the man, the teacher, the vampire standing just beyond the glass. He smiled faintly, not menacing, not hungry, but sad. I smiled back, a small, shaky smile. He was alive, still himself, somehow. And I realized then that monsters weren't always evil. Sometimes they were just people fighting to survive, fighting to hold on to what they were, even when the world had turned them into something else. And I understood. Some truths are terrifying, but some are worth remembering. The night air shivered around me, and though I didn't know if I'd ever see him again, I felt something I hadn't felt in months: hope. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe for more thrilling tales and spine-chilling adventures. There's plenty more where this came from, and you won't want to miss it.